Hey, how about it, race fans? Richard Allen, motorsportsreport.net, coming at you with the richest rambling today, titled, Will SVG win on an oval before Ty Gibbs wins anywhere? And the reason why I picked these two drivers to put in this little comparison here is because this week both of them are going to wind up being in the news cycle, no doubt quite a bit. Got a road course coming up. NASCAR's raced its first two races on high-speed drafting tracks at Daytona and Atlanta. And this week they're going to the Circuit of the Americas in Texas, which going into that you would think Shane Van Gisbergen is going to be the overwhelming favorite. He won 5 of the 6 road course races on the NASCAR schedule last year. As a matter of fact, this is the only one he didn't win. Christopher Bell won at Circuit of the Americas last year. So people will be talking about him as a clear favorite going into the road course race this weekend. And of course, part of that topic's going to be, is there anybody in NASCAR who can catch up to him? And perhaps his biggest challenge may come from within his own Trackhouse team, as his young rookie teammate Connor Zilisch will probably provide some opposition for him. It was, like I said, Christopher Bell won here last year, so there are other guys who can run on road courses, maybe not quite as well as him, but they, with some work in the sim and doing some other things, maybe they can catch up. So going to bring up Shane Van Gisbergen here for sure during this little video offering. And also Ty Gibbs is part of what I'm going to talk about here today. His name has come up here in the last few days. As you probably know, Joe Gibbs Racing has filed a suit against their former crew chief, Denny Hamlin's former crew chief, and then their former competition director, Chris Gabehart, who left JGR to go to Spire Motorsports. And JGR is claiming that he took some trade secrets with him. And they're trying to get him to stop using those if they were ever used before or at all. And so they filed suit in court for him to cease and desist, I suppose, in those court filings. So, and part of those court filings, Gabehart, some statements have come out of the Gabehart camp where he was basically wrangled into the crew chiefing position for Ty Gibbs last year toward the end of the year. And he talked about how it's difficult to work with Ty Gibbs under the circumstances that they have there at JGR, with Joe Gibbs himself interjecting quite a bit on behalf of his grandson, which, it's a grandfather-grandson. That's the way you would almost expect it to work. But Gabehart left JGR to go to Spire Motorsports, or in the process of going to Spire Motorsports. They claim that he had some trade secrets on computer disks, on computer files somewhere, and that those wound up at Spire. Spire has come back and said, and Gabehart have come back and said that they will let an independent investigator look to see if that's actually true or not. You would think if it is true that they would not want an investigator checking into it. But nonetheless, these two guys are both in the news cycle this week. Let's start with Shane Van Gisbergen. Last year when he came from Australia, of course, he won immediately, won his first ever NASCAR Cup Series race on the road course at Chicago, the city streets there. Chicago, and of course that got a lot of attention when he did. Eventually Trackhouse Racing was able to work out a deal to put him in a full-time Cup ride, which last year is phenomenal success on the road courses. He won, as I said earlier, 5 out of the 6 road course races that were even held on the Cup Series last year, which he also won now it's an O'Reilly Series race as well. So no doubt the guy's just incredibly accomplished on road courses, and he'll no doubt be the preemptive favorite going into this weekend. But the question at hand I asked is, will he win on an oval before Ty Gibbs wins anywhere? And it's not necessarily picking on Ty Gibbs or not necessarily trying to sing the praises of SVG, but if you look back at last year, at the beginning of the year, SVG was a little lost on the ovals. He didn't run very well, got himself buried way back in the points and all that, which of course didn't matter with him winning all those road course races in the win and in format that NASCAR used back then. back then. But now, of course, not using that format, they're using the chase format where points actually matter. And from the second half of last year up through these first couple of races this year, Van Gisbergen has shown he can make definite strides on oval tracks. I mean, if you look at the guy is a world-class racer. There's no doubt about it. And his talent's starting to come through. Last year in the second half of the year, he had top 15 finishes at Richmond, at Kansas, at Talladega, and Martinsville. None of those are road courses. So this year he started off well. He was pretty strong at Daytona. Like everybody else, got caught up in a wreck. I think everybody was at some point. And then at Atlanta this past weekend, he was right there in the mix much of the day, and even wound up with a top 10 and sixth place at Atlanta. So I'm not ready to sleep on this guy on oval tracks. I think I'm going to predict that at some point within this season, or perhaps sometime next year, but he's going to win on an oval track. You never know. It could be some crazy circumstance or rain shortened race or whatever. But he keeps himself in as he gets faster and faster and keeps getting into more and more contention on these things. I mean, he could pull off a win at a Talladega or somewhere back at Atlanta, someplace such as that. So I'm not going to be shocked when he wins. But then on the other hand, we're talking about Ty Gibbs, who appears as if he's heavily involved in calling the shots at JGR, because Gabe Hart pretty much insisted that he was told he had to be the crew chief on that 54 car last year, at least according to the court documents. So with that being said, Ty Gibbs is not. When people react on social media, they act like he's just a no talent bum. That is not true. The guy's got talent. There's no question. He's won in one season. He won 7, as they were called back then, Xfinity races. He was a champion there. He in the course of his career, he's had top 5 finishes. He had a number of top 5 finishes on the Cup Series. So the guy can drive a race car. Now, whether his attitude is getting in the way of reaching that final level of success, I don't know. But he, as a matter of fact, from the year before last to last year, he seemed like he actually regressed a little bit, and it could have been because of what was going on top of the pit box. I don't know, or what's going on in the shop, but he seemed to fall back just a little bit. So the question is, will he win anywhere before SVG wins on an oval? If I had to make a bet, and I'm not really a betting person, but if I had to make a bet, I'm probably going with the New Zealander on that, the Kiwi, because he's showing progression, and to me, Ty Gibbs is showing regression, if anything. So, we'll find out. Maybe neither of them will win. We'll see. I've got a strong suspicion that SVG is going to win. He's probably going to win this weekend on the road course, but is he going to win on an oval? And only time will tell on that. But like I said, if I was answering the question I posed in the title of this piece, will SVG win on an oval before Ty Gibbs wins anywhere? I'm probably taking SVG in that bet. But anyway, we'll find out. This is Richard Allen of motorsportsreport.net saying I will see you at the track.